Radicals, important video, you'll get real stuff here. All we hear on YouTube is Radio Goo Goo, Radio Gaga, blah, 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 blah. Spin of the analysis of the now political dogma. So, everybody's going crazy. NO-PEC versus OPEC. Those Saudis did it again. Oh my God, I can't believe it. We're going to retaliate. Oh, like you did at 9/11? Like you did then? Trump used to say the same thing. Remember Trump? Used to do all them rallies, going after the Saudi royal family. They did 9/11 until he become president. The Illuminati, they don't illuminate, they radiate. Just proves to you who owns the world. They do whatever they want. You do know that 19, well actually, of the 20, you know where the 20th, now hear me this, 17 of the 20 hijackers are Saudis. Do you know where the 20th hijacker is? Do you know? That's all, he's going to get life in prison, obviously, right? Do you know he's home in Saudi Arabia? Yeah. He did less than you get for selling a few packs of cigarettes. Saudis did 9/11. If you don't believe me, look at the night. We go back to the Sovereign Wealth Act. We had to overturn the 1976. You can't sell. What's a sovereign wealth fund? That's a country's dime. How come the U.S. doesn't have one? What? This country don't belong to you and me. It belongs to the old world order, the monarchies. Look up who owns all the mineral rights in this country. I mean, who owns it all? They're not American. They're not born in the United. Look who owns the media. Look who owns it. None of them. How did they do it? One of Jetstream, one by Jetstream, two by cable TV. Oh, we're going to retaliate against us like we did 9/11. Now think about this. They were all Saudis that did it. So we overturned the act. Congress can't get together on anything. They're split right down the middle, right? Did you know it passed unanimously? Did you know that? Congress and the Senate, 100 votes, voted to overturn it so we could sue Saudi Arabia for funding the terrorists in 9/11. So, did you know Obama vetoed it? Well, Obama vetoed what, 5 or 6 his entire 8 years? He vetoed it. Why would he do it? Because I just told you why. In the club. So Trump becomes president. So Congress overrides the veto, right? You have to have 2/3 House, 2/3 Senate. Did they get it? Oh yeah, easily. Guess who didn't vote for it? Got overturned. Kane from Pennsylvania. What? Oh, I was too far away campaigning. He was about 20 miles away. Hillary Clinton didn't vote for it. Chris Stewart here in Utah. Look at the names. Whoa. Where's your crown? So Trump going after them Saudis. Going to get them Saudis for 9/11. I used to go to those rallies. I stood in New York. Remember all those videos I did at the whole after 9/11? You know, forever I was in New York. So as soon as he gets in, what does he do? He gets right in bed with the very people he's going after. He's over there, remember, swinging the sword. Now he's holding a golf courses. By the way, Phil Mickelson's wife's from here. I think she's a cancer survivor. That creep. I used to really didn't like Tiger Woods, but I gotta say, he says, oh, I'm not going in bed with these Saudi freaks, the 9/11ers. So, the other big, gigantic news is the crab. Oh, it's a giant story. It is a giant story in Alaska. So we go from 9/11 to 3/11. The crab emergency closed for the first time in history. You know, Kevin Blanch's the greatest PhD in history. I was teaching here when 9/11 happened. We had 5, 6, I taught the derivatives options. We were the #1 school of business in the United States here at Liberty. Now get this one. Bill Childs sold RSA Willys to Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett come in and wanted to turn this to supply chain. I would have none of it. None of us would. Now, again, #1 school of business in the United States via the testing. 9 consecutive years. We used to beat Trump's old school, Wharton. Harvard. Harvard was second to us, or third every year. We used to beat them every year. They went from #1, they switched to supply chain, so he get his furniture made in China to supply chain, to 512 in 20 years. So for homecoming, they gave a big honorary award here to Bill Childs for ruining the school business, for taking it from #1 to, this is how they play around. And you wonder why I got blackballed for taking on the fence. Well, ask Fawn McKay Brody. She's from here. This is your university, a professor. She's the greatest female historian, well, the greatest historian probably in history. Won't mention her name. Huh. How about Wat Masaka, first player color in the history of the NBA. 2 national championships at Weber State. They won't mention his name. Oh, they're racist. How about Trevon Smith, all-time leading rusher, most touchdowns in the history of the Big Sky. Beat to death in a jail cell by the police because they got him addicted to pain pills playing football here. Won't mention his name. Kevin Blanch, the greatest artist, activist, scientist, maybe ever. Won't mention his name. So from 9/11 to 3/11. So we had Saudi kids. I taught the derivative class, options trading. Kyle Madsen. The FBI was in here within minutes after 9/11, sealing up hard drives. They arrested 5 students on this campus. Remember, they did an interview with KSL right over there by the statue, and they says, well, what are you guys going to do? And we're going to go home. Everybody's saying, well, how are you going to go home? All planes were grounded. Did you know they flew all the Saudis out? Fahrenheit 9/11 to Fahrenheit 3/11. Back when Michael Moore used to do good work. Now he's lost his ever-loving freaking mind. So we're going to retaliate. Saudis. Sure we are. Okay. Yeah, you are. The salmon to the King Solomon. The salmon collab. Yeah, we're going to retaliate. Okay. Okay. We're going to retaliate. Get your old can out. We're going to retaliate. Saudi Arabia owns you. They own this country, if you haven't noticed. So the Sovereign Wealth Act, just sue them. Have they? The courts. It's just like Elizabeth Holmes. Gets convicted of stealing $1 billion. Probably most likely, I was full of cancer when she was doing her thieving. Responsible for the death of thousands of people. Convicted. 5 major felonies. Steals $1 billion. She was convicted a year ago. Almost a year ago. Sentencing was supposed to be, I think, this week. She's living in her mansion in... I talked to Schultz himself's grandson, MPB. Kissinger says he was infatuated. Kissinger's nearly 100 years old. You think it's a club? Old world order? And I like people like Alex Jones who say, yeah, we're fighting back against the globalists when they feed the globalists. Cutting the tax rate from 39% to 0 on corporations is feeding the beast. Who do you think corporations and CEOs are? Globalists. It's unbelievable. You're going to fight back. Johnny, he got his gun. What are you going to do? Shoot the radioactive out of the air when they'll drone you from outer space. We're going to retaliate. NO-PEC versus OPEC. Sure you are. Just remember Obama vetoed the 9/11 Sovereign Wealth Act. Trump got right in bed. Remember his women over there swimming the sword? His golf course. He sponsored the Saudi golf tour at his golf course. Sliding with Biden? What did he do all those years? Nothing. Powered him. 9/11 to 3/11. And the crabs collapsing on the Great Pacific Jet, just the greatest story in history, and no media reporting. I could prove all this. When Tsar Putin, why didn't they deal with him 25, 30 years ago? King Putin, King Z, all these monarchies. When it looked like Putin was going to blow up the Big Z, I'm the guy that named it the Big Z, in February. Headline story. Ukraine, biggest nuclear reactor in all of Europe, could become Fukushima style disaster. You all act like you don't know. OPEC. So I taught the derivative arbitrage class how to use puts. I'm the first guy that identified, go ask the CIA, the FBI, they all talk to me. I'm the first guy that identified they bought puts on the airline stacks, tight to the money, way out. They made hundreds and hundreds. I'm the first guy that identified Forensic Accounting 101 that it traced to the Bank of London. Too big to jail. Kyle Madsen, Kevin Lynch. Well, you taught this class. We have plenty of Saudi kids in these classes. You think maybe you taught them how to buy puts? My kid's very popular. This is a true story. You can argue me with it all you want, but I can prove it. I'm out in Wendover. I was a gambler then. By the way, I remember buying a ticket. I remember gambling with Chris Morris in those days. Yeah, that Chris Morris, if he stayed on Michael Jordan, they'd have a ring. Phil Johnson coached here, they'd have a ring. There's all these Saudis out there playing blackjack, just rich, just assholes. And I asked Rich, what the fuck are they doing here? I got into it with them. They were being a real dickhead to this woman dealer who I knew. And I'm like, hey, you guys need to back the fuck. And they got all stupid with me. I said, fuck you. You know me, how I go. I was fucking squared off and fight them all. I told Richie, who the fuck? I don't know, but they've been here for a long fucking time. They have wads of cash this big. They're hanging around the fucking strip joint and here, gambling like fucking crazy. I went out there a couple weeks later. They were still there. Now we know they took the back roads. It was them. Oh, it was them. So, I mean, tune in and pay attention. You know, they stayed right under the shadow of NSA. Where's the repository here? I remember when I grew up a kid, these Mormons were anti-feds. They called this Deseret. They would burn flags. They're flag burners. They hated the feds. They hated Big Brother. They hated surveillance. Now it's all headquarters. Up is down, black is white, wrong is right. Completely captured the Weber State school business and took it. I mean, it's disgraceful. By the way, the great rival in Ogden today, the Iron Horse. I'll be headed over there. From 9/11 to 3/11. These are historic important videos. You can freaking run from me all, just like when I stood here. Never forget, I stood right here on March 15th, 2011. Never forget when they tell you this is just a hydrogen blast and everything's okay. Barack Obama, I never promised you a rose garden, says the plume's coming over there. It's not radioactive. I'll let you know he's flown to South America. Remember I stood right here? Just remember several things. One, George W. Bush won the 2000 election. No, he didn't. Pat Tillman fought off 9 billion gazillion Al-Qaeda in Valor. No, he didn't. Jessica Lynch earned a freaking Silver Star in Valor. No, she didn't. Went off to Afghanistan to kill the Taliban. Went off to Iraq to obtain a big old sacks to retaliate because they did 9/11. No, they didn't. The Saudis did 9/11. What did we do? We went and attacked Iraq and killed 2 million freaking innocent people. Look what we did to, not to mention our own men. And we're still freaking, you seen the debt lately? Why in the God? We know that they were all Saudis, factually. They were funded by Saudis. And we did nothing to them. Well, who owns this country? Rockefeller Oil. You know, Saudi Arabia was not called Saudi Arabia. The Saudi family took it over. Bin Laden and Bechtel built up, his dad built up the kingdom. Remember when they supposedly got Bin Laden and threw him overboard? Sure they did. When they got Kenneth Lay? Sure they did. When they got Jeffrey Epstein? Sure they did. I believe. Blah, 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 blah. Who owns this country? So we're going to retaliate because of gas prices. Like we did 3/11. It's laugh or cry. Blackball me. Stay in tuned. NO-PECs, they're answered. They own you. They own this country. If 9/11 hasn't proven, and 3/11, the nuclear energy is their crowning jewel. Don't say the F word. Well, it's just the greatest ecological catastrophe in human history. Stay in tuned.